highly regulated industry, and now with that experience and understanding of regulated environments, and through working with small businesses, I now help businesses use powerful AI tools safely. So we all know that AI has changed everything. The question really isn't whether your business is using AI, because statistics show about 42% of employees actually already are. The question is, are they using it safely? And do you even know what they're using? Tonight I'm going to show you exactly what's happening in businesses, what the real risks are, and more importantly, how to fix it. But first, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. So my company is Chager, which is my last name. I am a single mom, and the inspiration for my company actually came from my own personal struggles. Chager helps with the implementation of AI safely and efficiently by providing free assessment tools, implementation support, and ongoing intelligence. 7 years ago, I found myself in a situation I never thought I'd see. I was going through a horrible divorce. I had no money. Now, mind you, I know pharmacy is a great profession. I've been lucky enough to have mostly senior executive and leadership types of roles. However, nothing really prepares you for losing that security you once had. But more so, what I found was the support I had just disappeared. It dwindled. I was literally doing everything by myself, drowning basically every single day. I was trying to keep the house afloat, raise the kids, and do a good job, and my job was insanely intense at the time. I was managing, I oversaw COVID vaccine distribution for over 400 pharmacies in Ontario, and while drowning, I discovered AI. It was like a magic switch, which turned on and literally changed my life. So although I started by saying AI safety is critical, I'd also like to showcase just how powerful this technology is, not just in driving efficiencies, but literally changing a person's life. Alright, okay, so let's take a look at what's happening. So every department on the screen is using AI. Admin for emails, development, client is in Quebec. You just violated an important law in Quebec, which we will actually discuss momentarily. So let's look at the actual numbers. These aren't my opinions, these are documented statistics. So 42% of employees use AI daily at work. So in a room of 50, that's about 21 of your employees. 33% hide it from management. They know you might not approve or won't approve, but they do it anyways because it saves them hours. 69%, this is interesting, 69% fear data leaks. That means they actually know there is an issue, but the savings and time are just too tempting to resist. And as a busy mom with a chaotic schedule and insane demands while working full time, I completely understand that desperation to save time. The difference is really just knowing how to save time safely. But figuring out what is safe and trying to stay on top of all the news is extremely difficult. This is just an example of what 1 week of content could look like in the AI space, and this is really not even touching it. The velocity with which things change is intense, and the velocity with which improvements are even being made is intense. In 1 week, you can see hundreds of updates, developments, and changes. You know, OpenAI sends out a new release, data leaks are happening. Nobody can really track all of this while operating a business. It's just not realistic. And what you really need is what impacts your business, what regulations apply to you, and which tools are safe for your industry. And that's where people like me come in. We track this stuff so you basically don't have to. Okay, now circling back to safety, let me walk you through how a normal task becomes a legal problem. So here's a typical scenario. Someone in accounting needs to review a contract, they paste it into ChatGPT, takes 30 seconds, makes sense instead of 30 minutes. But that contract has confidential information in it. That data is now on US servers. ChatGPT trains on it. If that involves Quebec customer data, and most Ontario business owners have at least some Quebec customers, you're now in violation of Law 25, and that fine can be up to 25 million, 25 million, sorry. Fines in various capacities aren't actually hypothetical. That's important to know. So if you're wondering what actually happens when employees paste confidential into ChatGPT, Let me give you a few examples. Let me tell you what happened to Samsung. So May 2023, Samsung engineers were using ChatGPT to help them code. It seems smart, right? But wrong. They pasted proprietary information into ChatGPT, basically information about their semiconductor code, which is their basic crown jewel. And now that code is part of ChatGPT's training data. So if somebody asks the right question, they have what they need. So what was Samsung's response? They put a complete ban on ChatGPT use company-wide immediately. But it can get worse. So here's what happened to a New York law firm. Many of you might have heard this case. So lawyer Stephen Schwartz used ChatGPT to write a legal brief. The AI completely made up fake court cases that never existed. He submitted this to federal court. The opposing lawyers obviously couldn't find the cases. The judge obviously couldn't find the case, and because they were literally hallucinations. ChatGPT made them up. So the result, the lawyer was sanctioned, the firm was fined, and his reputation was basically destroyed. This made international use, not just national use. And last year, Air Canada, their customer service chatbot told the customer he could get a bereavement discount retroactively, which is not their actual policy. The customer relied on the chatbot's promise, bought the ticket, asked for the discount, and then Air Canada said, I am sorry, the bot was wrong. So the customer sued, and the court ruled you are responsible for what your AI says, and Air Canada had to pay. So now imagine your employee pays the Quebec customer list into ChatGPT. Under Quebec Law 25, that's a potential 25 million fine. Not because ChatGPT is evil, but because that data just went to US servers without consent. So I do need to be a bit more balanced here. So yes, Samsung leaked code. That lawyer got sanctioned. Air Canada got sued. These are real risks. But here's the flip side. Companies that implement AI properly are seeing massive gains. Law firms are reporting that 15-hour contract reviews are down to 90 minutes. Healthcare clinics, and I can attest to this, 3 hours saved daily on documentation, and this is critical given the administrative burden on healthcare providers. Marketing agencies saying they save from 40-hour projects completed in 7 hours. So how exactly are they doing this without ending up like Samsung? So the law firm uses Microsoft Azure OpenAI service, not regular ChatGPT. Why? Because the data can stay on Canadian servers. They have enterprise agreements, full audit trails. They can process real contracts because the data actually never leaves OpenAI's public training. It stays within Microsoft's Canadian data centers with enterprise protections. Healthcare clinics might be using two different approaches. Medical specific, like tools like Dragon Medical One that are certified for Canadian healthcare, or they're using private LLMs deployed on their own service, so it actually never leaves the building, really. And marketing agencies are likely using a split approach as well. So free ChatGPT for generic work, like creating a blog, and paid Claude or business or ChatGPT team for client work with the client consent, with clear contracts stating what the AI tools that they're using. So what is the compliance checklist? Basically, data residency, you want the service to live in Canada. You want enterprise agreements, not those free ones for your business at least. You want client consent, explicitly saying we use these tools. You want audit trails, who access them and when. And then you definitely want human review. You always want a human in that loop. In case you're wondering about the tools that would work in Canada, so, there are tools like I mentioned, Microsoft Azure, Cohere, there are private deployments you can use, Claude for Business, and the ChatGPT Enterprise also. And so let's talk about the tools themselves, because these costs can really rack up. So looking at the pyramid, you can start for free, and honestly, I honestly believe this, there are a ton of great free tools out there that can do a lot, and some of the better ones will actually offer their premium service for free, like Perplexity, for example, will give you 5 free research searches every single day, absolutely for free. The truth is really learning the fundamentals will make all the difference. It is chaotic and confusing for sure, but picking that right tool can make a huge difference. And I've learned this the hard way, believe me. I've helped so many people though who have been stuck on task just because they stuck to one tool. And once I advised about another, the work was completed in minutes. So the efficiency is obviously very much tied to picking the right tools. So foundation tools, these are like your large language models, aka like ChatGPT types, so your Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. As I mentioned, there are free tiers for all, and a lot of the time they get you pretty far. I also find that some of these tools are good for certain tasks, like images. I will always go to use ChatGPT 4.0, but for written content, I will always use Claude. So I guess that's one way of saying that not all LLMs are built equal. They do have unique advantages. And once you've used LLMs for a while, you recognize how useful it would be to automate. So for example, you create a blog on Claude and you want to post directly to WordPress, and you maybe want to create a LinkedIn post. So all of that can now actually be managed through automations, the most popular being things like Zapier and Names. And then finally, we have other tools like Fireflies, which can help take meeting minutes. Canva has added AI to their platform. Buffer, which is an AI social media tool. And Notion, which if you don't know, is literally the best tool to organize your life, and they've also added AI to their platform. So here's what this could mean for your actual day. If you look at these two timelines, without AI, emails start piling up. You're working on them till 11. You start real work around lunch maybe, and then you're working till 7, even if you get off at that time. With AI, your email's handled overnight by AI, and you could be just reviewing the email drafts instead of writing them all from scratch, and you're done earlier in the day. And I can personally attest to how helpful it has been for administrative and leadership types of roles, from board packages, research, and strategic reviews. Work that honestly used to take me months, I can complete in weeks, and truthfully, work that used to take weeks, I can complete in hours sometimes at this point. Same person, same intelligence, same work ethic, just different tools. And the gap between these two types of people is widening every day. Like, they are completely different people after 90 days. They're in completely different leagues. So how do you use AI tools safely? So there's 4 simple rules. And from my pharmacy background, I know powerful tools need protocols. So never put sensitive data in, so no SIN, no credit card, health records. Use business accounts only. Turn off any data training. Every AI tool has this setting. And document important usage. And these aren't just suggestions, they're pretty much the minimum safety requirements. Just like you wouldn't take a medication without reading a label, you want to use these without understanding the protocols. And wanted to just quickly touch on what the rules actually are, because I've mentioned it a few times. So Quebec Law 25 requires, before you share public data with third parties, and you get consent from the customer. ChatGPT is a US third party, so pasting Quebec customer information is illegal without consent. PAPITA, for those of you familiar with it, I'm very familiar with it as a pharmacy, says the same federally. You need consent, and you're responsible for what happens to that data, even if after AI companies have it. So the laws don't actually ban AI, they ban sharing personal information without consent. So if you paste, for example, John Smith from Montreal with the phone number into ChatGPT, you just violated Quebec Law 25 with that $25 million fine. But there are other cases. So even if you think like in healthcare, and I know pharmacists are doing this, where they're using ChatGPT to come up with recommendations for patients. But if you live like in a rural community, for example, and you type in middle-aged male farmer with diabetes, and it's a really small community, there is a possibility that if that information was leaked, someone could figure out who that patient is, and then you'd be violating PAPITA. Okay, so let me make this really practical. So what not to do: don't upload full contracts, don't use personal accounts, don't ever skip privacy settings. And what to do: summarize without sensitive details, use business accounts, and configure privacy settings. Setting this up is actually super, super easy. All employees can do it easily. Literally, it would take 1 hour at most, and you would avoid a whole bunch of fines that way. So how can you actually make all of this happen? Because it's expensive and change is always difficult. And I do want to be clear, I'm not a grants expert, but I've partnered with people who are, including contacts at AI hubs across Ontario. So what's actually available right now, IRAP is the big one. It's the Industrial Research Assistance Program. They're funding AI adoption for small, medium-sized employers. It's between 50 to 500,000. And yes, they do actually fund AI implementation if you frame it as innovation, but the only catch is it's insanely competitive. I think there's only like a 30% approval rate. There is also the Ontario Centre for Innovation, They have sector-specific funding, like for manufacturing, healthcare, retail, and those amounts between 25 to 100,000. There are other types of groups out there that don't necessarily provide funding or money. They basically provide training and resources and support. So like the Vector Institute, and there's a whole bunch of AI hubs across Ontario that do that as well. But the reality when it comes to programs like IRUP, where you're looking for funding, they are complex. Applications can be 20 to 50 pages long, and that's why I've partnered with people that actually understand the system. The key to approval, you need three things: clear problem that AI will solve, measurable ROI projection, and an implementation plan with milestones. And on my website, I have a ton of assessment tools which will help you create that foundation if you're looking for a fundable proposal, or at least helping you understand where your opportunities might lie. I can't guarantee you'll get funding, obviously, but I can connect you with the right people who have actually gotten IRUP approval for AI projects in the past. Okay, so what are we doing to make this all happen? Okay, here's your practical 90-day roadmap. Days 1 to 15, you're gonna audit what's happening. You're gonna discover likely that people are using AI in your companies. Between days 15 and 30, you're gonna set up safety protocols, business accounts, settings, basic rules. Next, you're gonna run a pilot project. Just pick one small thing that you're gonna look at and do it right. And then from there, you're gonna scale, you're gonna expand very, very carefully. This isn't really about becoming a tech company. It's about using the tools safely and effectively. And again, the assessment tools I share on my website and my link in bio will help you in all of these steps. Okay, so what are we doing tonight? Okay, start with the AI readiness assessment. I have it on my website. It takes literally 5 to 10 minutes and shows you where your risks are. And if you're concerned about Quebec Law 25, there's also a checker for that. And before concluding, I do want to advise what Chager.org does, what we could do for you. So basically, again, we help implement properly. So that's one-on-one consultations, to select the right tools for you. Like remember I said that causes so much pain if you don't have the right tool, wasted hours. Custom training designed to create AI experts within your organization. So not just users, but people who can then train others, spot risks, and actually drive adoption. Legal compliance guidance, just like I was mentioning, hands-on implementation support. We do have a subscription service as well, because this world just changes so quickly. We track things so you don't actually have to, and this includes monthly webinars and curated newsletters, like things like here are the 5 things that affect your business this month in AI. And again, we have a partner network access with individuals at the AI hubs can help get support. And again, my goal is not to stay in a company forever. I said this to a few people tonight. The goal is to make you self-sufficient, to create AI experts at your own company so that they can lead the change. Lastly, I'm just going to leave you with this. So visual clarity is really the bridge between information and action. So when things are clear, people act. When they're confused, they'll freeze. So my goal tonight wasn't to make you AI experts, obviously. It was to give you clarity on 3 things. Your employees are using AI now. It's just a reality. There are real risks, like Quebec Law 25, data leaks and compliance issues, and solutions do exist. Clear protocols and support is available.